What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Triple Threat Show. As always, I'm your host, Mara Patemi, joined today by my friend and co-host, Nolan Jambor. Today we got a big time day in the world of sports. We got a lot of NFL to cover. James Cook gets a new contract. Finally, we see the Bills running back get locked up 4 years, $40 million. We got a lot to talk about there, as well as preview another NFL division. The NFL season is right around the corner, and we got another AFC. We got another NFL division to preview. This time, the AFC East. From there, we'll go into some MLB conversation. We saw some incident with the with Shohei Ohtani, and everything going on over there with the Dodgers, as well as just taking a deep dive into what's going on in the MLB today. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more Triple Threat content. Also follow us on TikTok at Triple Threat Show, on Instagram at Three Threat Show. Everywhere you can find us on all of our social media platforms. And yeah, let's just jump into it. How we doing today, Nolan?
Man, it's 80 degrees outside, sunny. I can't complain. Having a great day.
Absolutely. Another beautiful Wednesday as is.
Beautiful.
But we got to jump into the NFL because that is where the heat is lying. Not just the weather today. James Cook, 44 years, $40 million, 30 million guaranteed. Good move, bad move. What's your initial thoughts? And honestly, how is this going to shape the rest of the running back market?
Well, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. We saw the Derrick Henry extension, Saquon Barkley, that all these running backs are getting paid. And we all talked about saying James Cook is going to ask for a lot of money because James Cook, we all knew he was a free agent. He wanted to get paid. And we all knew it was going to be for a good amount after exactly we saw the Derrick Henry deal, the 2 years, $60 million. And we were going to say, for every running back, it's going to change the market. We're going to see a guy like James Cook want to ask for 3 years, 60 million, or like 4 years, 80 million. And that's exactly what he got. Like you said, he got signed to that 4 year deal and for $80 million. This is a great deal. This is actually a great deal for the Bills. They have him now until the 2029 NFL season. And he's a great running back. He is more than serviceable. He's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard rushing seasons, having tied last season the most touchdowns in the franchise history with 16. He is just such an efficient runner. He's a fast runner. He's a hard hitter. He can do whatever you need him to do when you give him the ball. He is one of the more underrated running backs in the league behind a very good O line. But the problem is he doesn't get the recognition because of the talent that is surrounding him. Obviously, you have I guess now MVP Josh Allen. You have that caliber quarterback leading your backfield. You're not going to get the recognition you deserve. But look at his stats, watching him play. This is one of the best pickups in the offseason. Just one of the best signings a team has, re-sign a player for. One of the better deals. He's still only 24 years old, 23 years old. Still relatively young, still really, really, really young. And by the time his contract's up, he'll be entering I guess you can say, the end of the end of the running back age, because running backs pretty much expire around the 28, 29-year-old timeline, maybe 30. But this is a great deal. It's done right until his prime will probably come to an end. Coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, all the touchdowns he's scoring. This is a great deal, and it's only going to get better. So I think it's a great deal to pick up for the Bills.
No doubt. And honestly, we keep talking about how the running back market just keeps getting updated. This just keeps getting refreshed every single contract that gets signed. The reason we keep bringing that up, the one prior to this, Kyron Williams gets signed for a 3 year, $33 million deal. Same age, are doing about the same workload over there with the Rams. And this is a similar contract. 4 years, 40 million, 3 years, 33 million. This is how the market around not just running backs, quarterbacks, wide receiver, across the board, these are how these contracts work. And every single time, it's just the bar just keeps getting put higher and higher in these markets. If you guys don't know if you guys need more evidence of what we're talking about, we already have another guy around the same age in Brees Hall that is looking for a new contract coming up next year. That's literally already come out and said they've done more than me. They've been in better situations. I feel like I'm just as talented as anyone, but those two guys deserve it. That is a quote from Brees Hall. So he's the next guy up, and that's just the fact of the situation of how these markets continue to get updated. But how do you like this for the Bills, though, Nolan? Do you think that this move is going to continue to build that organization, kind of push them to that Super Bowl point that they've just been kind of scratching the surface to? How do you think this is going to continue to mesh with that Bills offense.
It's only going to make it better. Obviously, he's already been there a few seasons now. This is only going to help the Bills in any situation. This is only going to improve the team. This is, James Cook is a relatively, like I said, a pretty quiet running back. You don't see him on headlines. You don't see him, around the league, around ESPN or NFL and Instagram or Twitter, or whatever, getting all these news titles. I mean, he gets, his extension. That's the biggest news you'll see from him all year. He's a quiet running back, and that's a good thing. You don't want a running back who's making loud noises. You don't want a running back who's, trying to voice or just like be, I guess, like a disturbance. You want a running back like James Cook who's just quiet. He's just kind of there to play football, and that's exactly what he is. He's the quiet guy who is on his team, who follows the lead of Josh Allen. Everybody in that team follows the lead of Josh Allen. But I mean, he's never in any kind of controversies. Wanting more money or bad conflict with the team. He's just there playing football. The team chemistry he's had with that team for the past 2 seasons has been great. He's been there. He's just doing his thing. He's just been running the ball, catching passes, and getting yards and scoring touchdowns. That's all they need him to do. That's all he's been doing, and he's doing great at it. This is, like I've said, a great pickup for the Bills. He's only going to improve this team. The team chemistry is still there, so they're going to just keep building around this team. They're going to be a great team this year. Can they scratch the play, like past the AFC Championship title? I mean, who knows? I mean, the Chiefs team is still just as good. They can't seem to get past those Chiefs. I mean, they just can't seem to get past the AFC Championship. If they can, who knows with the Super Bowl? Because we all know they lost 4 straight. But I mean, this Bills team is one of the most talented teams in the NFL. We all know that, but they just can't seem to scratch the Super Bowl surface. They just can't. They can't crawl their way out of the AFC Championship. Just can't. But if they manage to do it, I think if they can manage to get out of the AFC Championship, they manage to get out of the AFC. I think they have a serious chance of winning the Super Bowl this year. They are a very talented team. Obviously, being led, like I said, MVP Josh Allen, they're be a great team. So if they manage to get past that out of the AFC, the Super Bowl is theirs to lose.
No doubt about it. And you bring up how quiet James Cook is. It's tough when you have a pretty much running back, quarterback, whatever you want to call him, and Josh Allen, who's 6'8", is just a truck, especially when you get down to that goal line. It's just tough to get those touchdown numbers when you're James Cook. But nonetheless, he gets paid, and it's very, very much well deserved. And we'll see how it all continues to go with the rest of the market moving forward. Most likely, no other big name running backs that are going to get signed to big extensions this year or in the rest of the offseason. But we'll see how it all transpires as we go through the season and into next offseason. That's where it all matters here. But we'll also talk some more Bills standings, how they're going to look moving into the playoffs as we get further into this episode, because we got an AFC East to preview here, another division when we talk more about the Bills. But let's talk about the Miami Dolphins first. Let's get them out of the way, because honestly, when we're jumping into this AFC East, you have the Patriots that have made a lot of moves. You have the Jets who get Justin Fields and have signed a bunch of different big name receivers and players to big contracts. But the Dolphins, just a quiet team, haven't done a whole lot. They do get Minka Fitzpatrick in a trade for Jalen Ramsey that sends him to Pittsburgh. But what do you think about this Dolphins team, Nolan? I mean, a team that really hasn't done a whole lot. You lose Devon Achane. You're really worried about getting a Tua Tagovailoa who hasn't played a whole lot since that concussion problem late last season. Are you worried at all about this team? Are you worried about Tyreek Hill? What are your thoughts so far going into this season about these Miami Dolphins?
This is a team that'll probably win, I think, probably 7 and maybe 6, 7 games, maybe 5, 6. They'll win between 5 and 7 games. They're not a very good team. Their defense was lackluster last year, even with the addition of Minka Fitzpatrick. They're going to be besides him, they really have no one on their defensive, DB side. Their linebackers aren't good. Their front core isn't that good. I mean, they really don't have much going for them on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they have a lot of talent. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. They have Tua Tagovailoa when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. But that's just the problem. He can't seem to stay healthy. Concussion after concussion after concussion. I mean, he just can't seem to stay he can't seem to stay on the field. He really can't. And when, it's just not a good look. It really isn't. This Dolphins team is going to be a very mediocre team. They're going to be a 5 to 7 win team, and that just won't be good. This is a very, very hot year for Mike McDaniels. This is one of the hottest head coaching seats in the NFL right now. I mean, he comes in 2021, really promising young coach, and he takes them to the playoffs his first year. They lose to the Bills, but there's a lot of upside. There's a lot of, hey, this guy's great young coach. I mean, he's got a pretty star loaded roster. I mean, he can do a lot of things, and he hasn't done anything with it. There's been no defensive upgrades besides getting Jalen Waddle, but then they traded him away. I mean, for Micah Fitzpatrick, but still, I mean, their defense has never been their strong point. It's been their offense, and when their offense isn't really doing too much, when you don't have your main quarterback on the field, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's things you can do, but there's nothing good being done. I mean, it's just they're going to be a very mediocre team. And I think if they have less than a 7-win season, I think that head coach could be in danger. I think Mike McDaniels will be in danger, and I think he might be fired. If they have another lackluster season, he will be gone.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really tough seat to be in right now if you're Mike McDaniel. This is Dolphins team that just 2 years ago, when you get Tyreek Hill, you looked at this Dolphins team with their defense, with their offense, as loaded as it was. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, across the board. You had Devon Achane in the backfield. You had a great young core, and this was a team that you thought could compete for an AFC East title, have gotten zero sins, and could possibly compete for a Super Bowl. Since then, you haven't made it out of the first round. You keep going up against Kansas City, and you can't make it out of the cold weather, which is a big problem, especially late in December. This is a Miami team. There's of course you're from a hot tropical environment in Florida, but when you travel up to New England in December, when you travel up to Buffalo, I'm pretty sure they're what 2-12 or something crazy in the last 2 years in the month of December and January. Something egregious, like a terrible record. But across the board, this is a really tough spot to be in if you're Mike McDaniel. They do get Minka Fitzpatrick, but outside of that, this is a defense that was ranked 10th overall in the NFL. It wasn't bad, but you're also having an offense that was just lackluster. You weren't able to score enough points. When I'm looking at this Dolphins team, I'm really looking at Tua Tagovailoa. That quarterback situation, how that's going to turn out. Is that concussion issue going to continue to be a problem late in the year? And honestly, yeah, this could be a year that Mike McDaniel is fired. It really, truly could be. Nonetheless, I don't think this team is, I could see this team probably being third in the division, fighting with the Jets for that bottom two spots. Where they eventually, I think that, how many wins do you think they're going to end up having, Nolan? You said 5-7?
Yeah, I'm 5-7.
5-7. That sounds about right. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a team that's going to be too competitive for a title, especially with the type of schedule that they have. They have to travel to Carolina with a revamped team over there. They have to play uh the Baltimore Ravens. They got to play the Commanders. They have to travel to Pittsburgh, travel to New England in January. Good luck if you're Miami traveling to New England in January. So they're gonna have some tough competition out there, and I don't like their chances. Yes, you have to play Cincinnati and Tampa Bay, but when you travel in December, that's where it's gonna matter. And if you go 5-7, if you haven't 5-7 wins, if you go 5-12 or 7-10 in your season, yeah, that could be the end of Mike McDaniel's term in Miami. So I think we're pretty much in agreement here. You think third or fourth in the division right now, Nolan?
Fourth, they're not going to. The Jets are going to actually be. I think they'll be better than the Jets, or worse than the Jets. The Jets actually, I think they'll be pretty solid this year.
Yeah. And that's honestly a perfect segue right there because that's our next team to talk about, the New York Jets. A team brings in Justin Fields in the offseason. Losing Aaron Rodgers, obviously nobody wanted to see that outside of probably Jets fans. But across the board, this is a Jets team that's kind of revamped. You bring in Justin Fields, like I mentioned. You sign Garrett Wilson to a 4-year, $130 million contract. I mean, this is a team that is bringing back. You keep Brees Hall. You have Sauce Gardner in the secondary on your defense to anchor that defense. You still have Hassan Reddick, who has a lot to prove after having a pretty lackluster season last year after signing that big time deal. Across the board, this is a Jets team that has to a lot to prove. I mean, a new coaching staff, a new team in general, a new quarterback situation, a lot to prove in general. What do you think, Nolan? I mean, this is a team. There's a little bit of a spectrum here. Do you think they're going to be on the low side of the win category, a little bit of a higher side, close to 8 or 9? What are you thinking over there for the New York
Well,
Jets?
they did just get a whole new head coach in Aaron Glenn. He is defensive coordinator, very great defensive minded coordinator. The Jets, their strong suit last year, in my opinion, was their defense. Even though they had Devontae Adams, they had Aaron Rodgers, they had a great offense, but their defense last year was, in my opinion, it was better. It wasn't that good, but that's not saying a lot for the Jets team. So the Aaron Glenn, coming in to try to reshape their entire defense, and you know what, I think he's going to take this team, even though they have a very, very hard schedule. Their first few games are just absolutely brutal. Going to Pittsburgh, home against Pittsburgh, but one of the best defenses in the NFL. Then they're playing Buffalo. Then they're at Tampa Bay. I mean, their schedule is just really hard. They play Dallas, Denver. Uh, they play. That's really at Buffalo again, obviously, but they have a pretty rough schedule. But they have enough weapons on both sides of the ball. I think that they can probably get I can foresee them probably knocking out 8 to 9 wins, like you said. I think this is a team that is going to be definitely a much improved version of themselves from last year, but still not enough to push for a playoff spot. Obviously, you just got Justin Fields, one of the most athletic and underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. We saw how he did last year with the Steelers. I mean, he had a 4-2 record when he started. That's a great record. I mean, granted, 4-2 is a winning record, so how can we can't disagree with that. But not, they had a pretty solid offense over there as well. You had George Pickens as the number one guy. You had a great tight end in Pat Fryermuth. I mean, you had a great offense over there. And you're going to New England now, where you have a guy like Garrett Wilson who just signed a 4-year, $130 million contract. I mean, he's ready to play. He got his money, and he's going to ball out. I mean, that's how it is. You get your money, you're ready to ball out. They're going to be a very, very, very good team this year. I wouldn't say very, but better than they were last year. And they're going to be. I'm excited to see them. They're going to be better than the Dolphins, but they'll be probably the third place team, maybe second, depending on what the Patriots do. But I'm excited to see how they do. Their defense definitely had some reasons to expand, had some reasons to get new players and kind of revamp themselves, and they did. They got some new players in the draft, got some new players just from free agency, signed a few guys. They're gonna be good. I'm excited to see how they do this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you said it best. I think I'm really looking at that Jets defense to be the reason why they win games. Of course, you have a really solid offense, and of course, we're going to be looking at Justin Fields. But that defense, you bring in Aaron Glenn, the defensive minded Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions, the former defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. How is that all going to play out? Is it going to be better? I mean, this was a Jets team a year ago that wasn't really good. They were hanging around 18th, I believe, in defensive ranking. Not a really great squad at all. Just hanging around below average team. So I'm looking at that side of the ball to really make a push to improve, and that's just the biggest thing that I'm looking for this team. But of course, we have week one for them circled. They host the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers in New York. That is the week one that we all have scheduled, that we all have circled, and I cannot wait to see that one. As much as I'd say the Steelers have it in the bag, and I think a lot of people in America would. This is a Jets team that has a lot to prove. A lot of them have a lot to prove, and I would not be shocked if that Jets defense gets after the quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and makes him have a little bit of a nightmare day over there. But when we're looking at this Jets schedule, you mentioned they have to play the Bills twice. They have to play the AFC North. They have to play the Bengals, Ravens, Browns, who have revamped Browns team. You have to play the Buccaneers in the NFC South. You have to play the Broncos, the Cowboys, the Panthers, the Ravens. I already met with the AFC North. Just across the board, you have a very tough schedule. I'm looking at them probably to hang around 7 wins. I think that's a little bit realistic. That could be a little bit of a higher push, but somewhere around 5 to 7 wins. Could they climb a little bit higher? I think there's a real possibility. But I think that first 6 week stretch is going to be brutal for them. I could see them starting the season somewhere around 2-4. By week 9, somewhere around 2-7. Realistically, that is a real chance. And then going a little bit of a hot streak to close the season. But those first those first 10 weeks, they're going to be absolutely brutal. And that's where it's going to matter if they're going to be able to crawl up into that second spot and possibly fight for a wild card spot in the AFC. Where are you thinking for wins, Nolan? Are you thinking the same thing?
I'm thinking that even looking at their schedule, I think they still manage to squeeze out a few tough wins. I really think they can beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're even though their offense is not going to do much of that game. I think their defense is going to be where it matters. Obviously, they did just get rid of George Pickens, but I mean they have some good talent over there in Pittsburgh, so it's gonna be a good game. But I think they managed to squeeze out a win there. I think it's a home opener win for them. They'll lose to Buffalo, they'll lose to Tampa, but they can. I'm not sure. I'm seeing. I could see around 7 to 8 wins. Still, I think 7 to 8 wins is probably gonna be good enough. I think they could still beat a few of these teams, squeeze out a few wins. Like I said, especially at the end of the year, the schedule kind of lightens up. They played the Dolphins twice. They played the Saints, the Jaguars. I mean, they have some pretty easy games in there. They could probably scrape out a few wins. So yeah, I'm thinking about. I could say like 7 to 8 wins as well.
Yeah. And I'm looking at that, like I mentioned, I just want to pull up the numbers really quick. In 2022, that you remember that 2022 Jets team, Nolan, that really fun team that was scraping out wins. Of course, we remember how that year started when Aaron Rodgers tore that Achilles, but that was a team that was fighting for a playoff spot. And that was a really fun team to watch. They were ranked fourth in both points allowed and total yards allowed. By 2024, they had dropped to 20th in points allowed. I'm looking at that ranking to change, and that's where this team is all about. That defense is a big part of this team's identity, and I'm looking at that to really be the focus for Aaron Glenn to turn this team around and hopefully fight for a wild card spot over there. But I think I'm around the same as you. Just I think they're going to be competitive. I think the Cowboys are going to have problems with them. I think teams that are really good at offense, and I think the teams that of course struggle on defense, I'm pointing out the Cincinnati Bengals. The problem is how is their defense going to look? And I keep looking at that defense to really find a way to push some wins. If they can do that, I think they could find their way into a wild card spot or be competitive for one at the very least. But the team that's going to be really standing in their way are the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots have made a plethora of moves this year. We already seen Travion Henderson, what he's about. The first touch of his NFL career being a kick return touchdown this past weekend in the first play of the game against the Washington Commanders. You bring him in, you bring in a guy in Will Campbell who's been an absolute stud for you through training camp and was an absolute monster in week one of the preseason as well. You bring in Stephon Diggs as well. You haven't really seen that wide receiver core so far, so that's something I'm looking at to see how they're going to look. Drake Mays look good. That defense is revamped. You bring in Carlton Davis, your buddy from the Detroit Lions. I know you can speak on that one. Across the board, this is a big time revamped New England Patriots team, and I'm not just saying it because I'm wearing the Boston hat. I'm really saying it truly that this is a good team, that this team could truly find their way up to double digit wins possibly. I would not be shocked at all. What do you think, Nolan? I mean, I could be talking up a storm over here, but let's hear it from you. What do you think about this Patriots team? Is there a real chance that this team could have 10 plus wins this year?
Talent on the roster alone, yeah, they're a great roster talent, but I don't think they have enough talent to get 10 plus wins. I haven't looked at their schedule exactly, but they do. Their schedule honestly doesn't look too challenging from what I can see right now. It doesn't seem too challenging of a roster schedule at all. Raiders, I mean, their new ramp Raiders team could be pretty solid. The Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers, Bills, obviously will be a stand in the way team. Then you got the Saints, the Titans, the Browns, the Falcons. I mean, this is a pretty lackluster schedule. This is a pretty easy schedule. So they can honestly, with the roster that they have, with the depth chart they have there, and the schedule accordingly, they can probably squeeze out maybe 10 wins. I mean, Drake May, one of the most underrated, young quarterbacks we've seen. He had a great season last year when he came in and started. I mean, you have Ramondre Stevenson, one of the more explosive running backs in the league. You have obviously you brought in Stephon Diggs. You brought in Kyle Williams of Washington State this year. He's a great receiver, but have great numbers over there in Washington State for what he had going on. You have Hunter Henry, honestly one of the better tight ends in the NFL. I mean, he's just a really efficient guy. He's a big guy. He gets open. He's relatively quick for his size. I mean, he gets open and he's big. You brought in Will Campbell, one of the best linemen in this draft. He is an absolute man in the trenches. He's just unbelievably good. If you want his tape from what I've seen, his tape from LSU, his preseason game, I mean, he's just been an absolute animal. He has just tore up defensive line. He is not letting up any pressure. He's like a shield. He's a shield on the offensive line. He's absolutely unbelievable. And their defense is very underrated. Obviously, Jabril Peppers, one of the best one in my opinion, one of the best free safeties in the league. He's getting a little older, but he's still just so explosive and so fast. They brought in Carlton Davis from the Detroit Lions. I mean, yeah, he had some bad plays with us here and there, but he's still a decent quarterback. He had room for improvement. He made some bad plays. He made some good plays, but he's going to be a good fit for in New England. And they have a really good interior defensive line. Barmore. I mean, Milton Williams. They have a great team. They have a great interior. They're going to be a good team. This is a team, like I said, even with their lackluster schedule and their decently talented roster, they could squeeze out 10 wins and maybe make the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up that schedule. I think that's where I want to start first. You guys remember when I said, the Jets have the first 10 weeks of the schedule where it's an absolute gauntlet and they're going to be looking at the second half of their schedule to kind of make up for it. The Patriots have the opposite. The Patriots have a cupcake first 10 weeks, I'd say. Not cupcake, but an easier side of the first 10 weeks, and then a gauntlet of a second half. You face the Raiders. This is pretty much the first 9 weeks of the season. So Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Panthers, Bills, Saints, Titans, Browns, Falcons. I mean, that sounds like a legit schedule. That sounds like a legit 6-3, possible 7-2 schedule if you're looking at a legit revamped Patriots team. However, second half of the year, you have to go to Tampa, host the Jets, to Cincinnati. Of course, you get the Giants a little bit of a break. Then you get the Bills, Ravens, Jets, and then followed by the Dolphins again. There's some legit teams in there, and that's where we're going to find out how good this Patriots team is. But I'm looking at this team. I mean, I just counted. I said if they can go 6-3 in their first 9 games, all they need is 4 over those last 6. If they can go, if they or 4 over those last, yeah, 4 of those last 6. I mean, it's not impossible. This is a legit team, I think, and I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at this point is of course, I'm looking at that defense to continue to put pressure on the quarterback and play really well. I think Mike Vrabel, the new head coach for that team, is going to do really well with that. But I'm looking at that offense, and that's the one thing we haven't really seen yet. Like I said, we didn't see any of their number one receivers play out there. We didn't see any Kendrick Bourne, no Kayshon Boutte, um, no Nick Polk, no Stephon Diggs, no Ramondre Stevenson. We saw Travion Henderson and Efton Chisholm. And don't get me wrong, Efton Chisholm has had a lot of highlight plays through training camp, but it's going to be about the number one receivers playing with Drake May. That defense is revamped, but I'm looking at that offense to continue to make plays and put points on the board because that's where it all lies. As well as that defense is, you need to put points up on the board if you're the New England Patriots, if you're going to have any success and have any chance of making a possible wild card spot. I'm looking at this Patriots team probably hanging around 8 to 10 wins. Any more than that is pushing it, I think, right now, just because we haven't really seen them. I'm not really comfortable saying that. But I think 8 to 10 wins is pretty fair with their schedule. What do you think, Nolan? 8 to 10 wins, or are you hanging closer to 7 to 9 or 6 to 8? You'd think.
I'm thinking, yeah, around 8 to 10, 9 to 10. They have a pretty, like I said, easy schedule. So I really don't think that I don't really think this is a team that can kind of choke away games. I think it's gonna be a team that if they take a lead, they're gonna keep the lead. This is a really good team. This is a very underrated team. Like I said, Drake May came in last year. I mean, he did his thing. He was a great quarterback for what he had last year. Honestly, really didn't have any talent on the offensive side of the ball last year besides Ramondre Stevenson. And he did what he did best. He made plays when he needed to, and this is gonna be a good team. I think, like I said, 8 to 10 wins most likely. Probably setting at 9 wins to end the season, and maybe slick by in a wild card. Maybe we'll see. But this gonna be a fun team to watch. It's kind of maybe a start of a new Patriots dynasty. Maybe, who knows? But I don't know. It'll be a fun team to watch and follow this year.
No doubt. Hey, I didn't say it. Nolan said it. Possible new New England Patriots dynasty over there. We'll see how it all goes, and this is going to be a fun team to watch. That this is definitely, and it will definitely not be the last time we talk about these New England Patriots. But finally, last but certainly not least. Also, quick note: I made a little bit of a mistake on the numbers. James Cook signed a 4-year, $48 million deal. So that's going to be what, 12 million every year, pretty much the same numbers as Kyron Williams. So that makes a little bit more sense over there. Just for that one, just a little note over there. But I mean, we have to talk about the Bills. A lot of people say that this is going to be the division leader, who's going to take the division crown in the AFC East. What, this is going to be their fourth or fifth straight year with the division crown of the AFC East? I don't. They haven't seen it since Tom Brady had. They've seen it every year actually since Tom Brady left for Tampa Bay. Is it going to be their sixth straight year with that title? I mean, this is a really really tough schedule. You have to play the Ravens week 1. Then you go to New York. You host the Dolphins, the Saints. Then after that, you get the Panthers, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Texans, the Steelers, the Bengals in New England, host or back to Cleveland, then you host the Eagles, and then week 17 you host the New York Jets. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is a legit schedule right here. This is gonna be one of the tougher schedules in the league. I know we've talked about the Eagles with a tough one, the Commanders, the Chiefs, um, the Rams have a tough schedule as well. We through these through these division previews, we've seen a lot of tough schedules. This is up there for one of those. What are you thinking, Nolan? I mean, this is a team that hasn't made a whole lot of moves. They've lost wide receivers. They haven't really signed. They still are not seeing a number one receiver over there in Buffalo. Are you worried about Josh Allen? How much they're putting on Josh Allen's shoulders? And do you think this Bills team is going to be back again for another AFC East crown?
Looks pretty hard. The second half does. Their front half of the schedule is, in my opinion, unbelievably easy. Yeah, you start with the Ravens. The Jets will not be that. Yeah, we've been talking about the Jets and the Dolphins. They won't be that good. You see, in the Bills standards, not at all. That's 2 wins. Put the Saints, that's a win. Patriots, maybe. The Panthers, even though they're a new vamp team, they basically a whole new team. This is still the Bills we're talking about. Then they play the Chiefs. That'll be a hard game. After the Chiefs, it gets a little rough. Then you play, the Bucks, the Texans, the Steelers. That could be 3 questionable games. The Bucks are they're a great team. They have a great offense. They have a great defense. That's good. That's a very well-rounded team. The Texans, they have a great offense. Their defense has their defense is what they're less known for, I guess you could say. Their offense is just so much talent. CJ Stroud, Nico Collins. I mean, they have a great offense. They play Pittsburgh, the best defensive team in the NFL behind the Broncos. I mean, they have some tough games, but I think you're maybe exaggerating it a little bit. But they still have a pretty hard schedule. But this is a team that I think will probably get 11, 12 wins again and take the AFC North again. They're too good of a team. They have a lot of talent. Keon Coleman, he is due for a breakout year. This is Keon Coleman. This Keon Coleman, I could see being their wide receiver 1 this year. He played well enough last year to kind of prove himself to be, a solid receiver. You have Khalil Shakur. I mean, you have Joshua Palmer. Those aren't big name guys, but they're guys who you can rely on to make plays. I mean, you have one of the better tight ends in the NFL as well, Dalton Kincaid, who came in last year, and you have an elite O line. Their O line is just so underappreciated for how well they can keep Josh Allen afloat. And even when it crumbles, Josh Allen is one of the most athletic and most capable quarterbacks of getting out of any situation. He's just unbelievably good. This Bills team, even with their easy-ish schedule, they'll still have around 11 to 12 wins and take the AFC North again, like they've been doing the past 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. I can't agree more, honestly. I was about to say disagree. I can't agree more. I mean, I'm just looking at that second half. I think the first half of the year, I could see them going 6-1 by the time they play the Chiefs. But by the time they play that Chiefs team, and I think they can still win that game. After that is when I start getting worried. To Miami, you host the Bucks. You go to Texas. You go to play to Houston, to Pittsburgh, hosting the Bengals, to New England. I think that New England game's a little bit of a tricky one. And then, of course, the possible Super Bowl preview in the Eagles and the Bills just before New Year's. I mean, this is a really tough schedule. You have some cupcakes in there at the first half. That second half is really a tough schedule. I think the Bills are probably going to have a commanding lead to start the season. But the second half of the year, especially that Bills Patriots in New England, I think that could be an interesting game. And I mean, I know I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think the Patriots could be one of those, a little bit of an interesting team in the AFC East and make the East a little bit interesting for that number one spot before the end of the year. We'll see how it all lasts, but run through your rankings, Nolan. How's your 1 through 4 look in the division?
It's going Bills to the 1, taking Patriots to the 2, Jets to the 3, Dolphins to the 4.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Same here. And we'll see how it all lies, how it'll all play out as we move further into the season. But thank you guys for watching this video. We'll be right back. If you guys haven't seen, just probably click back to the channel, click the next video right after this, and you'll see more of our content. I'll see you guys there. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.